Aubrey Ellsworth wasn't always a dairy farmer. He was once a school teacher and later a cost accountant. Then one day, 20 or so years ago, he bought a dairy cow, and that was it. He was hooked, fascinated with the science of cattle breeding, of matching bloodlines, of raising animals that would produce more and better milk. And so his herd grew and grew, till finally he was forced to give up his accounting job and become a full-time dairy farmer. Today, with a 14,000-pound herd average and some animals producing more than 20,000 pounds of milk a year, Aubrey Ellsworth's Ayrshire herd is one of the best in the country.
Tell me about this breed in general. Now, it's most dairy farmers in Newfoundland, I guess in Canada, have Holsteins, but you stick with this red and white Ayrshire. Why is that?
Well, a few years ago when I started first, I guess I started with one Ayrshire and one Holstein, and I was more attracted to the Ayrshire than the Holstein, really. And to give milk well, the quality of milk I think is better, really. It's a good 4% butterfat milk, and you know, it's a good milk.
Mm-hmm. The animal's a little bit smaller, isn't it, than the Holstein, or not?
Oh yeah, as a rule they're smaller. We have some real big Ayrshires here and some smaller ones, but as a rule they're smaller than the Holstein.
But now you've done well with milk production, comparing it with other Ayrshire herds all across Canada. But what about comparing it with a Holstein herd, say? Would there be as much milk produced per animal?
Well, I would imagine my herd is about on a par with most Holstein herds. But then again, we're up with some of the top herds in Canada. We've been tops in the Maritimes for the past 4 or 5 years.
Really?
With the exception of 78, we were, I think, third in 78. But 76 and 77, we were the first ice-producing Ayrshire herd in the Maritimes.
So your animals now would be in demand all across Canada if you wanted to sell them?
Well, I think in another couple of years, with our expansion, in another couple of years we'll have some efforts to sell, because we're keeping about 25 this year.
How do you account for it? Is it something about the weather here on the West Coast, or is it the way you breed the animals, or is it just a good line of stock you've got?
Well, I guess when I started buying first, I was pretty choosy, and I only bought purebred registered stock from cattle with ROP records, that's Regular Performance Records. So really, when I bought a heifer, I knew she was out of a good dam and by a good sire, so I got a 90% chance to get a good animal.
Tell me about some of your favorite animals now, some of the ones that are really doing well.
Well, there's a lot of them doing well, but I guess maybe the best cow in our herd is the dewdrop cow, the cow that I've bred. And
what's this one here? Is she a special animal, the one right next to us?
Yes, this cow here is out of the old Elaine cow, really. Her mother broke a Canadian record in 1971, and she was the third highest cow producing cow in Canada in 78. It's 10 years old and over, yes. And she's by one of the better bulls, really one of the best bred heifers in the Dominion, I would imagine. She had 20,600 pounds of milk as a 10-year-old. And this is really a well-bred animal. Mm-hmm. And she's doing pretty well for us. She's just a junior 2-year-old.
What's her name again?
Humberview Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen.
Actually, she's sired by East River Dairy King, so we call her Dairy Queen. This dark cow here, Humberview Dewdrop, actually it's...
Which one is this, the dark one down there?
It's the dark cow, yes. And it's the one we've been using the bulls from, and we have about 25 of her granddaughters here at the moment. We're hoping you'll be good. The first one's coming into production, are milking real well.
25 of that cow's granddaughters?
Yes, in the herd at the moment, yes. We used one of her sons here a couple of years ago, and, well, 3 years ago, really. We're using another one now, and I sold one last year in Annikanish.
What about some of the other animals now? Tell me about some of your other favorites, or some of the other top producers.
Well, that cow there, the black-headed daffodil cow, just finished with over 200 BCA. And the dark cow there, Lucky Mary, well, she got 5 records, really, but she averaged 208 BCA. One of our better cows, too. And they're homebred, really. You know, all of these cows that we're mentioning are cows that I've bred.
Tell me
And-
now what that means, though, to somebody who doesn't know anything about this.
Well, breed BCA or breed class average each cow, each age class of a cow really. A 2-year-old is supposed to produce so much milk, a 3-year-old so much, and a 4-year-old and so on. So really, in order to produce that much milk, it's 100 BCA. So if they produce double that amount, it's 200 BCA and so on. So some of these cows are producing twice as much milk as a cow their age should produce, really.
I notice in your house now you've got some awards. Well, this is recognition of the production some of your animals have gotten for you, eh?
Yes, cows now, when they produce 50,000 kilograms of milk, which is about 111,000 in a lifetime, you'll get a silver seal, and 60,000 a gold seal, and 70 a ruby seal. We've just got a ruby seal, and maybe as long as I'm into it, I'll never get another one, because it's a lot of milk. A cow could produce over 150,000 pounds of milk to get a ruby seal, and we have one at the moment.
Tell me now, do the animals you breed here yourself do as well as the animals you bring in from away?
Well, for the past 3 years, our own animals we've bred are about 20 BCA points above the cows that we've bought, yes.
You must travel around quite a bit to get new stock and new...
Not really. Well, I think we've bought we got one cow we bought in New York State a few years ago. We bought her in the national sale in Ontario, really, and she's done okay for us, but unfortunately she gave us 7 bulls in a row, but she's given us 3 heifers since, and they're doing quite well.
How much is a heifer now from one of these top animals worth if I wanted to buy one from you?
Oh, I got some here, I guess. Well, they'd cost you from 1,000. Maybe I'd want 5 for some. And there's some there's no money would take them. You know, there's some that I just wouldn't sell at any price.
But there's more to dairy farming than just having good cows with good pedigrees. You need hay, you need pasture, you need space to expand. And that's what Aubrey didn't have out here in Meadows. He was hemmed in by the sea on one side and a highway on the other. Land was being bought up all around. Homes were springing up everywhere. The community was growing. So, what to do? You can't keep a herd like this going without an adequate land base. Then, when Aubrey's sons expressed an interest in dairy farming, well, he knew then there was really no choice. They would have to move away from Meadows. The Ellsworths would have to start a new farm.
We're moving shortly, you know, the land is so hilly, and we don't have the land base here either. You know, a very small amount of land now for the number of cattle we have. And with my 2 sons with me, really, we can't make a living here anymore.
So now that your sons have grown up, you feel you've got to expand your herd, eh?
Yes, I think we're expanding about 25% a year now. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've just outgrown your old farm here?
That's right, yes, and you know, it's getting a very hard place to work.
And now, what about the new place? Where is it?
The new place is about 7 miles from here, between here and Corner Brook, a community called Hughes Brook.
Hughes Brook runs through a valley that winds back into the mountains. It was forested when the Ellsworths came here first, but they noticed the soil beneath the trees was good. It would make good pasture land. It would be a good place to start a new farm.
We have quite a bit cleared now. We're still clearing, and for the next couple of years, I guess we've got a lot of work cut out for us. But the farm's getting near completion, and we'll be ready to move in another 2 or 3 weeks.
Is the soil better there, you think? It's going to be a better operation?
Well, the land, you're able to work the land, you know, the land is nice and level, rocky, but it grows pretty well. I mean, the crops we've had there so far have been quite encouraging.
And so they came here with their power saws and tractors. Derek, Aubrey's oldest son, is a graduate of agricultural college. He gave up a job in the civil service to help his father on the farm. There must have been times he felt more like a lumberjack than a farmer, though. Acre by acre the forest was cleared, the ground limed, fertilized and seeded. A farm had to be carved from the forest. It was a good time to have 3 strapping young men in the family. Derek and Gordon, who are married with families of their own, and Alan, who's still in school. But there was more to it than clearing land. There was a barn to build at Hughes Brook. That's a story in itself. I found a huge structure 200 feet long and with an extra wing stuck out the side. It would accommodate 60 milking animals. Some carpenters were hired on, but the boys pitched in too, when they weren't with the animals or clearing the land. Actually, a lot of the lumber used came from the land they just cleared. Anything to cut down on the cost.
That's for to go to the valve, right? Yeah. Now what we're going to reduce it down from there, I don't know.
Why don't you take it home, you said?
But I don't know what's down there. No, I say I don't know what's down there.
We can always pick it up tomorrow.
But down there, that water tank down there, he's made from 3/4 down to the 1/2 inch. I don't know. She'll have to go and get that.
An ambitious project, and a costly one. The Ellsworths were gambling on the future, putting a lot of faith in the dairy industry. It was a busy time for the family, clearing land, tending the herd, building a house, getting the barn built and equipment installed and checked. They wanted to get the herd in before the snow flew. I soon learned that a modern dairy farm needs more than a stool and a bucket. A farmer must at times be architect, mechanic and engineer, businessman and sergeant major, all rolled up into one. For a time it was a mad rush. Then came the big day, the day they'd move the animals. Alan, the youngest son, was on hand to help out. They'd all just been milked. The trick now was to get them in the new barn in time for the second milking. They were all a bit anxious about the transfer of this herd. How would they react to the truck ride? How would they behave in the new barn? Finally, the last cows were loaded. It was off to Hughes Brook. Everyone kept their fingers crossed. Well, so far so good. The surroundings were strange. There were funny new smells here in this new place. All tin and wood. No animal smells at all. How would they behave? What would they do? Would the milking equipment work? Would the animals panic and hurt themselves? A lot of thoughts crossed Aubrey Ellsworth's mind that day. For our part, we promised to stay out of the way as best we could, try not to spook the animals with our cameras and lights. We were glad to oblige. We didn't want a stampede on our hands. Yet we did want to film the first milking, an important moment in the lives of the Ellsworths and in our story. We wanted to see the first flow of milk from their new farm. Alan coaxed the animals into the milking parlour.
Aubrey's a big day for you and your family.
Yeah, been quite hectic 24 hours, I guess. Yeah. We're just trying to milk now. It's been 24 hours since we've milked.
And this is the first time these animals have been milked in your new place?
Yeah, this is the first time.
They're a bit nervous, some of them.
Oh, we're having quite a time this morning, yeah. But it'll only be for a couple of days and everything will be okay.
I guess it's a new place. There's no smell of cows in there even yet, is there?
Yeah, it's strange. The system, it's actually the stalls and that are the same thing, but the system is a little bit different and the surroundings.
So is it going as well as you'd hoped?
Oh yeah, we're expecting it really. That's strange to us.
So are you pleased now with the way things are going for your move in here to the new place? Are you on schedule?
Well, time-wise, I guess we're not on schedule, but I guess it never happens that way. But we'll be okay. Another week or two, we'll be settled in.
Do you expect the production will be down a bit now because of the move?
Oh yeah, we get the heavy producers. We get cows here milking 100 pounds a day, and I would imagine we'll throw them out for a few days, but they'll come back.
Well, you made the move before the snow came anyway. That was the main thing, I suppose.
Yeah, the weather's in our favour. It's really mild. Wet, but mild. Yeah.
Milk. Over 100 pounds a day, sometimes from some of the best cows. But could they keep up this production in a new location? Well, that would depend on the food they get. Already, the fields of Hughes Brook have a nice looking crop.
We have bought most of our hay up until now. We're growing some, but it'll take us another 2 or 3 years, I think, in our development to be self-sufficient in hay or maybe silage. I think we should go into another operation maybe. Instead of putting up hay, we should be putting it in as silage with the weather we have here in Newfoundland, so unpredictable.
Tell me how much these cows eat now in the wintertime. How much hay do they go through?
About 4 tons a cow, I would imagine. So we'll need 10,000 bales, I guess, this year.
And that's fairly expensive when you have to bring it in. You have to buy it. What does it cost?
Well, last year we were paying close to $100 a ton, somewhere between $80 and $100 a ton. The freight is so expensive at the moment.
So if you had the land, it would certainly save you a lot of money.
Oh, there's just quite a bit of savings. It costs you quite a bit of money now to make hay too. You understand that
Sure.
the investment in equipment is fantastic, and the cost of fertilizer, but you can still save a few dollars, and you usually know what you have to the quality. If you could buy the quality, you wouldn't mind, but it's hard to get the quality you want to get.
Aubrey, this field now was cleared, what, last year?
No, this is the second. Well, it was cleared the year before. It was sown down the fall before last. This is the second crop of it this year. This stuff here you see today, that's second cut. We took a crop of hay here on, I think, the 7th of July. We finished the 7th of July, and we're cutting it now and just baling it green and taking it down to meadows to the cows and feeding it green.
You're going to get a good hay crop every year out here, you expect?
Oh yeah, I think the land grows pretty well, as you can see there today. That crop of clover, second cut clover, and the other field down there, it's fantastic, really. You know, for a month, it'll only be there a month.
And this is the kind of stuff that gives you the good milk, eh?
Well,
Clover.
this is the thing that makes the milk. Yeah, it's very high in protein. The clovers, because this here now, I guess the second cut is about 70% clover. It's a triple mix, really. It's 2 clovers and a timothy.
And you mean you can actually notice the increased production when you feed animals with this?
Oh yeah, and the 40 cows I'm milking now, at least I can get 20 gallons per day extra by feeding this.
Really?
Oh yeah, it really makes milk. That's our future, really. It's the forage is our future, and the more of this we can produce, the less grain the cow needs, and we can cut our costs.
Has it been a hard life now, being married to a dairy farmer?
Oh, no. No, it's not really.
What do you think of it now since you moved in here?
Well, I think it's a beautiful place in here. Easier to work, to land, and things like that. But when we get up here ourselves, in our own home, it'll be better. But we're all working together, eh? This is the thing that I like most of all.
You're keeping the family together.
Yeah. Whatever we do, well, it's not just me and him doing it, it's all of us. Eh?
I guess that's the only way it would work, is it?
Yeah, I guess it is. But that's the best part I like about it. Eh?
Well, when I finished high school, I went to the Agricultural College in Nova Scotia, and I finished up there and worked with the provincial government at the Department of Agriculture for 3 years before I came here. And then with a new expansion that my father undertook here in Hughes Brook, I decided it'd be a challenge to come back here and try this out with him and see what we can do.
And has it been a challenge? Has it been a rewarding kind of thing?
Well, the reward is not quite here yet, but the challenge is it's a big undertaking, and we're only about halfway through yet, so hopefully the reward will come.
Have you had any regrets?
No, none at all.
And what about your wife?
Well, she quite enjoys it, but she knew, I think, what I was getting involved in as well. She knew that the hours and the long days and stuff like that, but it's all part of the picture. You gotta take the good with the bad, I suppose.
That was quite a plunge you made, quite a decision, wasn't it?
Well, it was a big decision. You working with the government, you sort of you get used to it, the weekends and stuff like that, and coming here has been a big difference. Farming, dairy farming in particular, is 7 days a week. It's every day of the year you're involved in, so it's quite an undertaking.
Are there worries you've got about the dairy industry in Newfoundland?
Well, it's a business. I think you have to treat the dairy industry as a business. You have to produce enough to pay the bills. If you don't, you're in trouble. But right now, here in Cornerbrook, the market is there. We can sell practically all the milk we can produce. So if we can produce it cheaper, and cheaper than it costs us to, then we should be okay. We should make money at it.
You must be quite proud too of the records your animals are getting.
That's right, but I think a lot of the credit for that has to go to my father, really. He's over the last 20 years, he's built the herd up to what it is now, and I guess it's up to us to take it from there.
A new farm from the forest, a new barn, a new home. 80 acres of land cleared already, and one of the top dairy herds in Canada. It's remarkable what the Ellsworths have already accomplished. It shows what a family can do by hard work and by pulling together, especially here in Newfoundland, where farming is supposed to be a marginal, chancy occupation. Oh, they've still got a lot of work ahead of them. There's still 150 acres to clear, to fertilize and to seed. There's another home, perhaps 2 to build. They've got to expand their herd, increase production, pay the bills. It won't be smooth sailing for a while yet, and perhaps it never will be for those who make their living from the land. But they've got the cattle, some of the best bloodlines and production records in the country. They've got the land now, and they've got the guts. And I've got a feeling that milk will be flowing from the Ellsworths' farm here at Hughes Brook for a long time to come.